I have 2 recipes to share with you today that you're going to want to make this week. Grocery prices may be getting wild and seem to be staying there, but that does not mean that you have to skimp on flavor. Hey friends, I'm Kate and I want to help you cut your grocery budget as much as possible in 2023 while still making meals that your family will love. Before we get to this week's grocery haul from Kroger, I do want to share with you my tip of the week, which is plan your ingredients and amounts carefully and think through them. This is advice for you as well as me because I did not plan properly this week and had to make a second trip to the grocery store because of a snacky toddler. All right, let's look at what I got this week from Kroger. I have 2 cases of these Yoplait yogurts. They were $1 off each. I've got some dairy-free creamer for me for my coffee in the morning, some milk for my oldest, sour cream because we'll have tacos at some point this week, 3 containers of blackberries. These were 3 for $5, which was really nice. Some oranges. I got a coupon for this, but I don't remember how much. 2 containers of flour. These were each $1 off, and this is my favorite flour to use. I think it just produces great results, but one of them was busted, so I went ahead and put it in my flour Tupperware. Some honey, some coffee. I've got apples, avocados, and mangoes. These were 77 cents a piece, the mangoes and avocados both, which was a really great price. And we really enjoy them. Some taco seasoning sauce, some canned Progresso soups. These were buy 3, get 2 free, so I could not resist. A container of potatoes. We'll use some of these to kind of bulk up these soups for lunches, and then we'll also use some for another recipe this week. Some ground beef, a 3-pound roll. I think this was a little over $8. Some raisins because we were totally out, and then some flour tortillas. We'll do tacos this week, and then these are also really nice to have on hand for wraps and things like that. So this is what I got from Kroger. It was right at $100. Let's see what we can do with it. Okay, so on this night, we made meatballs. I started off with 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and I am just mixing it up in my food processor here just to kind of break it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of panko crumbs. You can also use Italian breadcrumbs. I just always have panko on hand. And then I'm going to go in with 1 egg. 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. This I use in place of Parmesan cheese because I'm non-dairy and gives a lot of that kind of cheesy flavor without any of the horrible side effects. All right, we're going to go in with a teaspoon of dry basil, and then a tablespoon of parsley. And then we have a teaspoon of oregano. I tried a little bit harder to measure that one for you guys. A dash of salt. This was probably about 1/4 teaspoon. And then 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. You could also use powdered garlic. I just never have it on hand, and I always have this pre-minced. I think it tastes stronger, and I don't have to press a garlic clove, which I don't know if you've ever tried to press a garlic clove, but it's difficult, guys. And then finally, we're going to go in with some fresh ground pepper. After all that, we're going to put the lid on that food processor and mix it up until it forms a dough. You could also do this by hand, but I'm lazy and really hate touching ground beef. Once your meat dough is formed, you're going to form individual balls about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in circumference and put them on a cookie sheet. Once all of your balls are formed, you're going to put them into a 450-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Now, if you had store-bought sauce, you could just heat that up with your pasta as your meatballs were cooking, but I realized this night at this moment that I did not. So we're going to make some. I've got a little bit of oil in a pan, and to that I'm going to add 4 to 6 mini bell peppers. You could use 2 to 3 regular ones. I just had the mini ones on hand because of my snacky toddler. While that softens up, I'm going to add 2 cloves of garlic and then my seasonings. So I've got a little bit of parsley, probably about a teaspoon of oregano, and a teaspoon of basil. Oh, I've also got 2 teaspoons of onion powder. I'm going to warm these up for just a moment before I add a little bit of balsamic vinegar and attempt a reduction. So with a balsamic reduction, you're going to add that to the pan and then just continuously stir until it starts to thicken up. It didn't work quite as well as I wanted to with this. Comment below if you know what I did wrong. So then I'm going to add 2 14-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. You could also use crushed. You could also use a 28-ounce can. And then a 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. A can of tomato paste would also have been a great addition to this sauce. But again, I realized at the last minute that I did not have pasta sauce and didn't have tomato paste on hand. After this has simmered for a little bit, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of brown sugar just to take some of that acidity out. There goes my pasta that I cooked and was draining. And then we have the finished dish. The sauce was okay. The meatballs were phenomenal. All right, we have a small additional haul. I got a cabbage, some more bell peppers because the bag that I bought did not last as long as I thought it was going to. A rotisserie chicken for dinner tonight. Some baked beans, and then 4 cans of ranch style beans for stock up. All that will be displayed in the screen below. All right, so on this night we made a pork stir fry, and I'm starting off with a teaspoon of water in this Pyrex mixing bowl, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. I'm going to mix that up so it doesn't kind of stick to the bottom of the bowl. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of oil. There's 1 and 2. I was at the very bottom of this bottle of oil. 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Say that 5 times fast. 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar. And 1 teaspoon of liquid aminos. As always, you can use soy sauce. I just like liquid aminos. I'm going to give that a mix, and then I'm going to add roughly 8 ounces of pork loin that I have sliced. All right, I'm going to give this a mix and then let that marinate while I chop up my bell peppers and half a head of cabbage. All right, so here I am chopping up some bell peppers. I added probably 4 mini bell peppers, so you could use 2 regular sized peppers to this. I also chopped up half a head of cabbage, but at some point during this process, my kitchen started to smoke because I had very intelligently split a stainless steel pan. The recipe I was following had directions for a wok, and I guess I didn't realize that you can't preheat a stainless steel pan for an extended period of time without anything in it. So here comes the marinated pork loin into a preheated Dutch oven. So I'm just going to brown this up And once it is browned, I'm going to add in my bell peppers and then my seasonings. All right, so here comes 2 to 3 cloves of garlic that is pre-minced, and then about a tablespoon of the squeezy tube ginger. This smelled really fantastic at this moment. I love the smell of cooking ginger. After my ginger and garlic have warmed up in the pan for about 30 seconds to a minute, I'm going to add my half a head of chopped cabbage. You can tell it's close to dinner time in my kitchen when I start having small shadows wandering around. I did add a little bit of homemade chicken broth to this just to help the cabbage cook down a little bit more. I just made chicken broth from the rotisserie chicken. I put it in a crock pot overnight with 4 cups of water and just poured off the broth the next morning when it was done. But regular chicken broth would work just fine too. I added a little bit more, probably about a tablespoon of liquid aminos. I added about a teaspoon of brown sugar, and then I'm just going to stir this until all of the flavors are melded together and the cabbage is fully cooked down. I'm going to serve this over rice, and this might be my new favorite stir fry. It was delicious. Because I didn't plan far enough ahead and pull food out of my freezer to bulk up what I already had, I did have to go to the grocery store for a second time. I also, in that trip, got a second bag of bell peppers because I totally underestimated how much my very snacky toddler was going to enjoy eating them. But that was our weekend food. I hope you enjoyed the 2 recipes that I shared with you today and that you will subscribe for more grocery tips, recipe ideas, and to see how I'm mixing up my saving strategy next week. Have a good week. See you next time.